According to Nobel Prize-winning physicist Roger Penrose, there is one profound ability that AI will never possess. While he believes that it is simply the ability to truly understand, I think that it goes deeper. I believe we have a unique trait that enables us to, for instance, meditate, develop morality, engage in deep abstract thought, and perhaps even alter the course of history. To fully grasp this quality and why AI falls short, let's explore a few examples of it in action. For instance, let's discuss meditation. What is meditation? There are different forms of meditation, but a common practice is sitting calmly, closing your eyes, and focusing on one thing, like the breath or a sensation or sounds, for example. But if you're a bad meditator like myself, you'll occasionally drift off into other thoughts. But the key is that when you do drift off, you can realize it, evaluate what just happened, and redirect your focus back. You are essentially having a thought about your thoughts, reflecting on what's happening in your own head. I would call this feature the meta ability. And no, I'm not talking about the company. Humans seem to have this unique capacity to transcend our own thoughts. We can have desires, attitudes, and thoughts about our thoughts. This isn't just self-consciousness, although it's something like that, but I believe that it goes deeper. The meta-ability is the capacity to have what is sometimes called second-order desires, attitudes, or thoughts. Second-order what? Don't worry, it'll all make sense soon. Now, let's take another more relatable example. Unrequited love. Say you're walking around minding your own business, when suddenly you're struck with love. A beautiful woman walks by. After some time, you gather the courage to ask her out, but she turns you down. Sadly, you walk home alone. But then you keep seeing her around, and you can't get her out of your head. You're still in love. Eventually, you might start to hate the fact that you're still in love, and now you're experiencing what is sometimes referred to as a second-order attitude. You hate that you love her. But how is that even possible? How can you have an attitude towards your own attitude? It is strange, but I believe that many of us recognize that feeling of loving or hating our own emotions. I hate that I love chips. God, I love chips. Damn it. Or I love that I enjoy working out. I'm just kidding, I hate this. In fact, this same meta-ability might be the foundation of morality itself, because it is sometimes referred to as the freedom of the will, something that AI will probably never possess. The philosopher Harry Frankfurt introduced the concept of second-order volition, which he argued is essential to the freedom of the will and a significant feature of personhood, making one into a moral creature. Frankfurt's theory is complex, but in short, it's about having a desire to possess a certain desire that actually moves you to act. Yeah, that one is complex. Don't worry about it. We'll dive deeper into it later. The point is that our morality may depend on this very meta-ability, the same ability that allows us to meditate. And since AI probably lacks this ability, they cannot be seen as moral creatures. We'll circle back to AI in a moment. I also think this meta-ability is what drove us to create things like art, technology, and society. It's what allows us to transcend our fears and do things even if we're afraid. For example, I'm an anxious person, and my anxiety began interfering with my daily life, so I decided to try CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. What's fascinating about CBT is that it seems to be based on the same meta-ability. Let's say you have a fear of snakes. At the first level, you have a desire to avoid anything that even resembles a snake. But if you choose to start CBT, you develop a second-order desire, a desire to no longer be afraid of snakes. To conquer that fear, you have to voluntarily expose yourself to snakes over and over again. But why would anyone do that? Well, I did it once. It wasn't about snakes, but it worked wonders for me. So if you have a fear that disrupts your life, I highly recommend CBT. But the interesting question is, could this capacity to transcend our fears be what drove our ancestors down from the trees to explore, innovate, and ultimately dominate the world? Could it even be what led us to create AI, a technology that resembles us so closely yet lacks this key ability? It seems unlikely that AI will ever possess self-consciousness, and according to the philosopher John Lucas, who argues similarly to Roger Penrose, it's not just unlikely, it's impossible. Lucas's argument is based on Kurt Gödel's famous incompleteness theorem. Gödel showed that all formal systems, including AI, have a certain formula that is self-referential. It asks the system to analyze its own capacity, but the system can't do this because it lacks the ability to reflect on itself. The meta-ability we've been discussing, right? The system will never be able to produce this formula as true, but we humans who are outside the formal system can provide a correct answer. Lucas writes, "The paradoxes of consciousness arise because a conscious being can be aware of itself as well as of other things, and yet cannot really be construed as being divisible into parts. It means that a conscious being can deal with Gödelian questions in a way in which a machine cannot, because a conscious being can both consider itself and its performance, and yet not be other than that which did the performance. A machine can be made, in a manner of speaking, to consider its own performance, but it cannot take this into account, without thereby becoming a different machine, namely the old machine with a new part added." It is a complex argument, and I'm actually a bit skeptical about it. Lucas outlines his argument in his paper, Minds, Machines, and Gödel, and I plan to make an episode on that one. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Can I really make the claim that AI will never possess the meta-ability or self-consciousness? I mean, Alan Turing thought that a self-conscious AI is possible, but more about that in a future episode. But if you want to know more about Frankfurt's theory about freedom of the will, then I do suggest you to check out this video here.